Hello. Before we begin, I need to make something very clear. Everything I share with you today is general information only. It is not personal financial advice. Everyone's situation is different. Before making any financial decisions, please speak with a licensed financial advisor who understands your particular circumstances. Right, now that that's out of the way, let's begin. If you're over 50 and you're watching this, I know something about you already. You're worried. You're worried about money. You're worried about whether you have enough. You're worried about whether you'll have enough. And somewhere, deep down, you're wondering if you made the wrong choices along the way. Let me tell you something. You didn't. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. But times have changed, and now you're looking for answers. You're looking for ways to create extra income, to build a buffer, to feel safe again. You're looking at what people call side hustles. But here's the problem. Most of what you read online is written for 25-year-olds. It's about cryptocurrency and drop shipping and becoming an influencer. And you read it and you think, that's not me. That's not my world. You feel left behind. I understand that feeling. And I'm here to tell you, you're not left behind. There are real, practical, dignified ways for Australians over 50 to create extra income, ways that honor your experience, ways that fit your life, ways that actually work. That's what we're going to explore together today. Let me ask you something. Do you remember when a side hustle wasn't even a thing? Do you remember when people just had a job? One job. You worked for 30 years, maybe 40. You got your superannuation, you got the age pension, and that was enough. You retired at 60 or 65, and you lived comfortably. You went on caravan trips, you saw the grandkids, you had time. My parents lived that life. Maybe yours did too. That was the promise, wasn't it? Work hard, do the right thing, and you will be looked after. But something shifted. The cost of living started climbing faster than wages. Housing became unaffordable, even for people who already owned homes, because rates and insurance kept rising. Superannuation became compulsory, yes, but it also became complicated. And the age pension, well, it stayed relatively flat while everything else got expensive. Somewhere along the way, the promise broke. And now, here you are, 50, 60, maybe older. And you're realizing that what you saved might not be enough. The goalposts moved. Nobody told you they would, but they did. Let me give you some context. Back in the 1980s and 90s, the average Australian could retire on a combination of the age pension and modest savings. The age pension was designed to provide a basic but livable income, and it did. A couple could get by. They could pay their bills. They could enjoy life. But today, the age pension for a couple is around $44,000 a year. That's about $850 a week. Now, that might sound like a lot if you're not living on it, but if you are, you know the truth. After rent or rates, after utilities, after groceries and petrol and insurance and medication, there's not much left. And if you own your home outright, you're luckier than most. But even then, the pension is tight. It's not poverty, but it's not comfort either. It's managing, it's budgeting every single week, it's saying no to things you'd like to do. And that's if you qualify for the full pension. If you have assets above a certain threshold, your pension gets reduced or cut off entirely. So you saved a bit extra, you tried to do the right thing, and now you're being penalized for it. I know that feels unfair, because it is unfair. This is why so many Australians over 50 are looking for what's called a side hustle, extra income, something to supplement what they have, something to give them breathing room. And I want to be very clear about something. This is not about greed. This is not about wanting luxuries. This is about dignity. This is about being able to afford fresh food, about being able to help your grandchildren with a birthday present, about not lying awake at 3 in the morning wondering if you can afford to turn the heater on. This is about security, and security is not too much to ask for. So what is a side hustle really? Let's strip away the jargon. A side hustle is simply a way to earn extra money outside of your main source of income. For some people, that's on top of a full-time job. For others, it's on top of the pension. For others still, it's instead of retiring completely. The term itself is quite new. It became popular in the last 10 or 15 years. But the concept? That's ancient. People have always found ways to earn a little extra. Your grandmother might have taken in sewing. Your grandfather might have done odd jobs on weekends. My father fixed lawnmowers in the garage. That was a side hustle. We just didn't call it that. What's changed is this. Today, the internet has opened up opportunities that didn't exist before. You can sell things to people you've never met. You can offer services without leaving your home. You can work flexible hours, and that's powerful, especially if you're over 50 and you don't want a boss telling you what to do anymore, especially if your body doesn't move the way it used to, especially if you want control over your time. But here's what you need to understand. Not all side hustles are created equal. Some require a lot of upfront money. Some require technical skills you might not have. Some are outright scams. And some are just not realistic for someone in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. I'm not going to waste your time talking about those. What I want to focus on today are the side hustles that are actually achievable, the ones that leverage what you already know, the ones that respect your time and energy, the ones that are legal, ethical, and genuinely helpful to other people. Because here's a secret. The best side hustles are the ones where you solve a problem for someone else. And you, my friend, have 50 or 60 or 70 years of problem-solving experience. That is worth something. That is worth a lot, actually. Let me break this down for you. There are really 3 categories of side hustles that work well for Australians over 50. The first category is knowledge-based work. This is where you take what you know and you teach it, consult on it, or advise others. The second category is service-based work. This is where you do something practical for someone else. Cleaning, gardening, bookkeeping, pet sitting, whatever your skills allow. The third category is sales-based work. This is where you make or find products and you sell them, either online or in person. Each of these categories has different requirements, different time commitments, different earning potential, and different levels of risk. We're going to go through each one carefully, thoroughly, so you can decide which, if any, might suit you. Let's start with knowledge-based work. This is often the most rewarding type of side hustle for people over 50. Why? Because you've spent decades accumulating knowledge. You know how to do things that younger people simply don't. And there are people out there who need that knowledge. They will pay for it. Let me give you some examples. Perhaps you worked in accounting for 30 years. You could offer bookkeeping services to small businesses or help individuals with their tax returns. Perhaps you were a teacher. You could tutor students in person or online. Perhaps you worked in trades. You could offer consulting to DIY homeowners who are stuck on a project. Perhaps you're good with technology. You could help older people set up their phones or computers. Perhaps you're a great cook. You could teach cooking classes from your home or online. The point is this: whatever your career was, there is almost certainly a way to package that knowledge and offer it to others. Now you might be thinking, but I'm not an expert. Let me stop you right there. You don't need to be the world's leading authority. You just need to know more than the person who's asking for help. That's it. That's the bar. How do you actually start a knowledge-based side hustle? First, you need to identify your skill. Write down everything you've done in your working life, everything you're good at, everything people have asked you for help with over the years. Don't dismiss anything. Even if it seems ordinary to you, it might be valuable to someone else. Second, you need to find your market. Who needs what you know? Is it local businesses? Is it parents of school children? Is it other retirees? Is it young couples? Once you know who needs your help, you need to reach them. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They think they need a fancy website or a big social media following. You don't, not at first. Start small. Tell your friends and family what you're offering. Put a notice up at your local community center or library. Join local Facebook groups and offer your services. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, especially in the over 50 demographic. People trust recommendations from people they know. Third, you need to set your price. This is hard for a lot of people. They undercharge because they feel awkward asking for money. Don't do that. Your time is valuable. Your knowledge is valuable. Research what others are charging for similar services, then charge something in that range. You can always adjust later, but don't undervalue yourself from the start. Let me talk about online tutoring for a moment because it's one of the most accessible knowledge-based side hustles. If you have expertise in any school subject, you can tutor students online. There are platforms that connect tutors with students. Some take a commission, some charge a membership fee, or you can find students independently through local parent groups. You don't need to be a qualified teacher, you just need to know the content and be able to explain it clearly. And here's the beautiful part. You can do this from your living room. You set your hours, you work with students one-on-one or in small groups. It's flexible, it's low risk, and it can pay quite well. Tutors in Australia often charge between $30 and $80 per hour, depending on the subject and level. Even if you only tutor for 5 hours a week, that's an extra $600 to $1,600 a month. That makes a real difference. Now let's talk about service-based work. This is where you do something physical or practical for someone else. And before you say, "I can't do physical work anymore," hear me out. Service-based work doesn't mean you have to lift heavy things or work long hours. There are plenty of services that are light, flexible, and well-suited to people over 50. Let me give you examples. Pet sitting or dog walking. If you love animals, this is ideal. People need someone to look after their pets when they go away, or they need someone to walk their dog during the day. You're not building a fence, you're providing companionship to an animal and peace of mind to the owner. House sitting, similar concept. People go on holidays and they need someone to water the plants, collect the mail, and keep the house secure. You can do this in your local area or even travel around Australia doing it. Some house sitters pay nothing for accommodation because they're providing a service. Cleaning. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cleaning is hard on the body. And yes, it can be. But there are ways to do it smartly. You could specialize in light cleaning, dusting, vacuuming, bathrooms. You could offer services to elderly clients who can't manage it themselves. You could work just a few hours a day, a few days a week. You set the terms. Gardening and lawn care. If you're physically able and you enjoy being outdoors, this is wonderful work. Many elderly Australians can't maintain their gardens anymore. They need someone to mow the lawn, trim hedges, pull weeds. It's honest work, it's satisfying, and it's always in demand. Delivery driving is another option. Now this one is interesting because it's grown enormously in the last few years. Companies like Uber Eats, Menulog, and others allow you to deliver food in your own car. You choose when you work. You accept the jobs you want. The pay varies, but some people make a decent hourly rate, especially during peak times. The downside? You're using your own vehicle. That means wear and tear, petrol, insurance. You need to factor that in. But for some people, especially those who like driving and don't mind being out and about, it works well. Odd jobs and handyman work. If you're practical, if you can fix things or assemble furniture or hang pictures, there are always people who need help. Websites like Airtasker connect people who need tasks done with people willing to do them. You can choose jobs that suit your skills and your physical ability. You're in control. Here's what I want you to understand about service-based work. It's not glamorous. Nobody's going to write a magazine article about you. But it's real, it's reliable, and it's often more consistent than knowledge-based work because people always need practical things done. The key is to choose something that suits your body and your interests. Don't push yourself into work that's going to hurt you or exhaust you. That defeats the purpose. The whole point is to improve your life, not make it harder. Now, the third category, sales-based work. This is where you sell products, either things you make yourself, or things you buy and resell, or things you sell on behalf of someone else. Let's go through each type. First, selling things you make. This is often called handmade or artisan work. Perhaps you knit or crochet. Perhaps you make jewelry. Perhaps you paint or do woodwork. Perhaps you bake. If you have a craft or a skill that produces a physical product, you can sell it. Where? Online platforms like Etsy are popular for handmade goods. You can also sell at local markets. Many towns have weekend markets where stall holders sell their wares. Or you can sell through Facebook Marketplace or local buy and sell groups. The advantage of this type of side hustle is that it's creative, it's fulfilling. You're making something with your own hands. The disadvantage is that it takes time and materials cost money. You need to price your items so that you're actually making a profit after you account for materials and your time. Many people undersell their handmade goods because they feel guilty charging what they're worth. Don't fall into that trap. Second, reselling. This is where you buy items cheaply and sell them for a profit. You might go to op shops or garage sales and find things that are undervalued. Then you clean them up, photograph them nicely, and sell them online. People do this with furniture, clothing, books, collectibles, all sorts of things. It's called flipping. Some people make good money doing this, but it requires an eye for value. You need to know what sells and for how much. You also need storage space for inventory, and you need to be comfortable with the buying and selling process. It's not for everyone, but for some people, especially those who like the hunt, if you like finding treasures, it can be quite fun. Third, affiliate marketing or direct sales. This is where you sell products on behalf of a company. Affiliate marketing usually happens online. You promote a product through a blog or social media, and if someone buys through your link, you get a commission. It sounds easy. It's not. It takes a lot of time to build an audience, and most people never make much money from it. Direct sales is different. This is where you join a company as a representative and you sell their products directly to customers. Some of these companies are legitimate. Some are pyramid schemes. You need to be very, very careful. If a company asks you to pay a large upfront fee, or if they make unrealistic income claims, walk away. A legitimate direct sales company will have a quality product that people actually want, and they'll make most of their money from product sales, not from recruiting new representatives. Examples of legitimate direct sales in Australia include some kitchenware companies, some beauty product companies, some wellness product companies. But again, do your research. Talk to people who are already doing it. Understand the costs and the realistic earning potential before you commit. Let me tell you about Bruce and Jenny. They're not real people, but they represent a situation I've seen many times. Bruce is 62, Jenny is 60. They own their home in regional New South Wales. No mortgage. That's the good news. Bruce worked as a truck driver for 35 years. He has about $280,000 in superannuation. Jenny worked part-time in retail for 20 years. She has about $90,000 in super. Together, they have $370,000. That sounds like a lot, but they've done the calculations. If they retire now, that money needs to last them 30 years or more. They'll get the age pension eventually, but not for a few years, and even then, their assets might reduce it. They're worried. Bruce's knees are bad from years of driving. He doesn't want to work full-time anymore, but they need extra income. So what did they do? Bruce started doing something he'd always enjoyed. He started buying old tools at garage sales and markets. He'd clean them up, sharpen them, restore them, then he'd sell them on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. He didn't make a fortune, but he made an extra $300 to $500 a month, and he enjoyed it. It got him out of the house. It gave him a project. It gave him a sense of purpose. Jenny, meanwhile, started offering ironing services. She put a notice up at the local community center and in a few Facebook groups. She charged $20 an hour. She worked about 6 hours a week. That's an extra $500 a month. Together, they're bringing in an extra $800 to $1,000 a month, nearly $12,000 a year. That $12,000 makes an enormous difference. It means they can afford to run the air conditioning in summer. It means they can help their daughter with her kids. It means they can go out for dinner once a week. It means they can breathe a little easier. They're not rich, but they're comfortable, and they're in control. That's what a good side hustle can do. Now, let me be honest with you about the downsides, because there are downsides to every side hustle. First, it takes time. You're not going to start earning serious money on day one. It takes time to build a client base. It takes time to learn the ropes. You need to be patient. Second, it takes energy. Even a low-key side hustle requires effort. You need to show up. You need to be reliable. If you're already exhausted from life, adding a side hustle might not be wise. You need to assess your own capacity honestly. Third, there are costs. Even small side hustles have costs. If you're selling handmade goods, you need materials. If you're offering services, you might need equipment or transport. If you're reselling, you need money to buy inventory. Make sure you understand the costs before you start. Fourth, there's the tax situation, and this is important. Any income you earn, even from a side hustle, is taxable. You need to declare it. If you're on the age pension, extra income might affect your payment. You need to understand how the income test works. I'm not going to go into all the details here because they change and they're complex, but please speak to Centrelink or a financial advisor before you start earning so you know what to expect. The last thing you want is a surprise tax bill or a cut to your pension that you weren't expecting. Fifth, there's the risk of scams. I need to say this very clearly. There are people out there who target older Australians with fake work-from-home opportunities. They promise easy money for little effort. It's always a lie. If someone asks you to pay money up front to access a job, it's a scam. If someone promises you'll make thousands of dollars a week with no experience, it's a scam. If something sounds too good to be true, it is. Please, please be careful. Stick to legitimate platforms. Stick to things that make sense. If you're unsure, ask someone you trust. Ask your kids. Ask a friend. Don't hand over money or personal information to anyone you don't know. So, let's talk about how you actually get started, because knowing about side hustles is one thing, actually starting one is another. Here's my advice. First, take a week to think. Don't rush. Sit down with a cup of tea and think about what you're good at. What do you enjoy doing? What do people ask you for help with? What did you do in your career that you could do again, but on your own terms? Write it all down. Be thorough. Second, pick one thing. Just one. Don't try to start 5 side hustles at once. That's overwhelming. Pick the one that feels most achievable and most appealing to you. Third, do your research. If you're thinking of offering a service, find out what others charge. Find out where to advertise. If you're thinking of selling products, find out where to sell them and what the fees are. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more confident you'll be. Fourth, start small. You don't need to register a business name on day one. You don't need a logo or a website. You just need to do the thing. Offer your service to one person. Sell one item. Get that first experience under your belt. Everything else will follow. Fifth, tell people what you're doing. This is so important. Don't keep it a secret. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell people at your local club or church or community group. Word of mouth is the most powerful marketing tool you have, and people want to support people they know. Sixth, set boundaries. Decide how many hours you're willing to work. Decide what jobs you will and won't take. Decide how much you're going to charge, and then stick to those boundaries. One of the biggest mistakes people make with side hustles is letting them take over their lives. Remember, the goal is to improve your quality of life, not destroy it. Eighth, track your money. Keep a simple record of what you earn and what you spend on the side hustle. This makes tax time easier, and it helps you see whether the side hustle is actually profitable. Sometimes people think they're making money, but when they add up the costs, they're actually losing money. Don't let that be you. Ninth, be patient with yourself. You're learning something new. You're going to make mistakes. You might charge too little at first. You might take on a client who's difficult. You might waste money on something that doesn't work. That's okay. That's part of the process. Learn from it and move forward. Don't give up just because it's hard at first. Ninth, look after yourself. Don't sacrifice your health for a few extra dollars. If a side hustle is making you miserable or exhausted or stressed, stop. It's not worth it. There are other options. And finally, celebrate your wins. When you make your first dollar, celebrate. When you get your first good review or your first repeat customer, celebrate. This is a big deal. You're taking control of your financial future. You're being proactive. You're not sitting around waiting for things to get worse. You're doing something, and that takes courage. Let me talk for a moment about mindset, because I think mindset is just as important as strategy when it comes to side hustles. A lot of people over 50 have been told, implicitly or explicitly, that their best years are behind them, that they're too old to learn new things, that they should just retire quietly and not make a fuss. I'm here to tell you that's rubbish. Complete rubbish. You are not too old. You are not past it. You have decades of experience that younger people would kill for. You have skills and knowledge and wisdom that are incredibly valuable. The world needs what you have to offer, and you deserve to be paid fairly for it. But you have to believe that first. If you start a side hustle thinking, nobody's going to want this, or I'm too old to do this, then you're setting yourself up to fail. You need to shift that thinking. You need to remind yourself every day that you have value, because you do. I also want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough, and that's the emotional benefit of a side hustle. Yes, the money is important, but for many people, the side hustle becomes about more than money. It becomes about purpose. It becomes about staying connected to the world. It becomes about using your brain and your hands and feeling productive. Retirement can be wonderful, but it can also be isolating. You lose the routine of work. You lose the social connections. You lose the sense of identity that comes from being good at something. A side hustle can fill that gap. It can give you a reason to get up in the morning. It can introduce you to new people. It can challenge you in ways that keep your mind sharp. These are not small things. These are the things that make life worth living. So even if you don't desperately need the money, even if you're comfortable financially, a side hustle might still be worth considering for the non-financial benefits it brings. Now, let's talk about some specific side hustles that are particularly well suited to Australians over 50. I want to give you concrete options you can research further. First, mystery shopping. Companies pay people to visit stores, restaurants, or businesses and report back on the customer experience. It's a real thing. You get paid a small fee, and sometimes your expenses are covered. It's not going to make you rich, but it's easy, it's flexible, and it gets you out of the house. Second, transcription work. If you're a good typist and you have decent hearing, you can transcribe audio files. There are companies that hire transcriptionists to work from home. You listen to a recording and you type out what's being said. It's detailed work, but it's flexible. You work when you want. Third, virtual assisting. This is where you provide administrative support to businesses or entrepreneurs remotely. Tasks might include answering emails, scheduling appointments, managing social media, or doing research. If you have office experience, this is a natural fit, and it's all done from your computer at home. Fourth, tour guide or driver. If you live in a tourist area and you know your region well, you could offer tours. Some people do this through their own vehicle. Some partner with tour companies. It's social, it's interesting, and it draws on your local knowledge. Fifth, childcare or babysitting. If you enjoy being around children, and if you have a working with children check, this is always in demand. Grandparents are often the most trusted babysitters. You could offer casual care for local families. Sixth, house painting or minor repairs. If you're handy and physically capable, there's always demand for someone who can paint a room or fix a leaky tap or replace a light fitting. You don't need to be a licensed tradesperson for minor jobs. Just be honest about what you can and can't do. Seventh, meal preparation. If you're a good cook, you could prepare meals for busy families or elderly people who can't cook for themselves anymore. You cook in their kitchen or yours, package the meals, and deliver them. It's personal, it's helpful, and people will pay well for it. Eighth, photography. If you have a decent camera and an eye for composition, you could offer photography services for local events, families, or small businesses. You could also sell your photos online through stock photography websites. Ninth, grant writing. If you have strong writing skills, many community organizations and small charities need help writing grant applications. They often can't afford to hire someone full-time, but they'll pay for project-based work. 10th, sewing and alterations. If you can sew, this is always in demand. People need clothes hemmed, taken in or repaired, curtains made, cushions covered. It's skilled work, and you can charge accordingly. These are just 10 examples. There are dozens more. The key is to find something that matches your skills, your interests, and your physical capacity, and to start simple. Let me give you a few more principles to guide you. First, always deliver more than you promise. If you say you'll do something by Tuesday, do it by Monday. If you say the job will cost $50, make sure the quality is worth $70. Under-promise and over-deliver. That's how you build a reputation. That's how you get repeat customers and referrals. Second, be professional. Even though this is a side hustle, treat it like a real business. Show up on time, dress appropriately, communicate clearly, invoice properly. Be polite and respectful. People will take you seriously if you take yourself seriously. Third, keep learning. Just because you're over 50 doesn't mean you know everything. Be willing to learn new tools, new techniques, new ways of doing things. Watch YouTube videos, ask questions, stay curious. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start falling behind. Fourth, protect yourself. If you're offering services, make sure you have appropriate insurance. Public liability insurance is often necessary if you're working in someone's home or business. It's not expensive, but it's important. If you're selling products, make sure they're safe and legal. If you're entering into contracts, read them carefully. Get advice if you need to. Don't assume everyone has good intentions. Most people do, but not all. Fifth, don't burn bridges. If a job doesn't work out or a client is difficult, handle it gracefully. Don't badmouth people. Don't leave angry reviews. Just move on. Your reputation is everything. Protect it. Sixth, know when to say no. Not every opportunity is a good opportunity. If a job feels wrong, if a client is rude, if the money isn't worth the hassle, say no. You're in control. You don't have to take every job. It's better to do fewer jobs well than many jobs poorly. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about what this stage of life is really about. You've worked for decades. You've raised families, paid mortgages, contributed to society. You've done your bit. And now you're in what I call the third act. The first act was childhood and education. The second act was career and family. And now the third act. This is your time. This is when you get to choose. You get to decide what matters to you. You get to decide how you spend your days. And yes, money is part of that. You need enough money to live with dignity and comfort, but money isn't the whole story. The third act is also about meaning. It's about connection. It's about legacy. It's about joy. A good side hustle can contribute to all of those things. It can give you the financial security you need, but it can also give you purpose and pride. I want you to think about this. What do you want the next 10 or 20 or 30 years to look like? Do you want to spend them worrying about every dollar, or do you want to spend them feeling secure, engaged, and alive? A side hustle is not just about money. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about refusing to be a victim of circumstance. It's about saying, I'm not done yet. I still have something to offer. And that is a beautiful, courageous thing. You are not too old. You are not irrelevant. You are experienced, capable, and valuable. And there are people out there who need exactly what you have to give. Your knowledge, your skills, your kindness, your time. You just need to package it in a way that works for you and for them. Let me leave you with this. Starting a side hustle is not about becoming a millionaire. It's not about working yourself into the ground. It's about creating options. It's about having a buffer. It's about waking up in the morning and knowing that you have some control over your financial future. It's about being able to say yes to the things that matter to you without constantly checking your bank balance. It's about dignity, and you deserve that. Every single one of you deserves that. So take your time, do your research, pick something that suits you, start small, be patient, be kind to yourself, and know that you're not alone. Thousands of Australians over 50 are doing exactly what you're thinking about doing. They're finding ways to earn extra income, they're building small businesses, they're taking control, and they're discovering that this stage of life can be just as rewarding, just as exciting, and just as full of possibility as any other. Before I finish, let me remind you once more. Everything I've shared today is general information only. It is not personal financial advice. Your situation is unique. Before you make any decisions, please speak with a licensed financial advisor. Please check with Centrelink if you're on the age pension. Please speak to an accountant about tax. Get proper advice. Make informed decisions. Be smart, be careful, but also be brave. Because the only thing worse than trying and failing is not trying at all. You've got this. You really do. Thank you for listening. I wish you all the very best on your journey. Take care.